I think artists need some kind of therapy. Not like art therapy where you express your complex feelings with art, but like therapy for artists. There's just a very particular frustration which comes with being an artist. Sometimes you love your work and everything is going great, and then suddenly you hit a rut and everything sucks. Well, I hit a rut recently and I'm going to share with you guys this art piece which I hate, which is a 2024 redraw of my profile picture, which I first drew in March 2021, so that's over 3 years later that I redrew this, and I had that moment which all artists dread, which is where you redraw an old piece and you're like, no way, is it just me or is the old one better? How have I improved backwards? So yeah, this is me being vulnerable with you guys, showing off this piece anyway. I hope you appreciate it. But yeah, we're gonna talk, what can you do when you hit those ruts with your art? How can you feel better and gather the resilience to keep going? We're going through 5 tips for that in this video. Firstly, why do artists go through periods of hating their own work? It may have something to do with the Dunning-Kruger effect. Have you ever watched The X Factor and seen someone who is unbelievably, ear-bleedingly atrocious at singing, yet they come on so confident they think they're the next Britney Spears, and then they are shocked and bewildered when Simon Cowell says they sound like someone stepped on 4 cats? And you wonder, what is going on in their brain for them to possibly think they sound good? Like, is anything going on in there? Well, this is probably the Dunning-Kruger effect, or maybe partial deafness in their cases, I don't know. But the Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people with limited competence in a particular domain overestimate their abilities. And this might be really apparent when you look back at your older works. Like when I look back at these, I cannot believe that when I drew these pieces, I thought they were good and I posted them online for people to see. If I drew this today, I would delete it instantly. But when you're not as good at art, you don't look at your piece and realise the facial anatomy is off. You don't realise the shadows are grey and muddy and dull because you don't know how it's meant to look. You're not versed in anatomy, colour theory, composition, etc. So you don't see the flaws. Then you get better and you realise everything you didn't know before. Suddenly you're more aware of the flaws, you see them now, and you realise that your work isn't good enough compared to what you know you have to do, but you don't have the skills to cover that gap yet. I think a lot of these ruts are triggered by the realisation that there's something that you're not doing well enough. So what do we do about this? Tip 1, recognise that frustration is actually a positive sign of growth. So this is where we start, right? We acknowledge that even the artists who seem so much better than us, who we look up to, go through periods of frustration with their work. And every artist has ugly sketches and drawings they never posted anywhere, so we're all posting what we think is our best work. But, you know, sometimes you repaint something 5 million times, and so does your favourite artist. You have scrapped entire pieces, I'm sure, sometimes, and it feels good to delete that file or throw that sketchbook page into the trash, so you never have to set eyes on it ever again. It's perfectly normal. The frustration is a sign that you identified there's something that you don't like. So what is it? And what's the plan? Instead of getting annoyed and leaning into black and white thinking like, I hate everything I make, stop. Take some time to consider what is the thing that is gnawing at your brain that's not quite right. For me, using this piece as an example, I draw a lot of girls who look like they have clinical depression. They stare into the camera blankly with their mouths closed. They look like they're trying to model. What happened to you, girl? Are you okay? It's the expression. It's so boring. Okay, so now I know what it is, then I can figure out what to do about it. It's no longer a vague problem, I'm annoyed, I hate everything I make. It's a specific problem, and a specific problem has a specific solution. So I'll practice expressions, I'll do a couple studies, boom. Now I have a focus. So head down to the comments section and let me know what is your current annoyance with your work. And then sit for a few minutes and think, what could I do to fix that? And have a brainstorm and let me know. If you post it, it can be a useful guide as well for other people who might have the same problem, so you could help them out too. Tip number 2, change your damn goalpost. So your goalpost might be, I have to make a piece that's good, that I like, or that's perfect. That's not really a very good goalpost, because if you fail on that vague goal of making something you're happy with, you're probably going to feel like trash. So we can change this goalpost. We need a different metric. So for me, I need to look back at this piece and say, okay, maybe it's terrible and the original was better, that's how I feel, right? But look at how my skills in certain areas improved. Look at how last time the hands are hidden behind the head. This time I drew a pretty decent hand. Last time I didn't bother to draw in all those flowers because I thought it was too complex, too annoying, can't do it, let's just do doodles. But this time I drew them properly and they turned out nice. I didn't cut corners and my overall speed has improved as well. So yes, I didn't draw something I liked, but there is improvement there that I can focus on instead. If your goal with each piece is, let me make something I really like, then that's fine. You might not do it though, but if your goal is, for example, let me just focus on drawing the hair really well in this piece, or let me execute this idea I have, or I want to draw a piece that gives off a very specific mood and vibe to it, or maybe I'm just going to do an art challenge, I'm going to do a draw this in your style, I'm going to limit myself to 3 colours, only draw with the scratch brush. Then if you have a goal like that, it's more attainable because at least you have a focus. So maybe you didn't make your magnum opus, but you explored the concept you wanted, you drew the nose like how you learned to do in that art tutorial, or you had fun with a challenge or whatever. If you have focus expectations, it's easier to achieve those. And if you also made the whole piece good along the way, then that's just a bonus. If the piece doesn't turn out so well, it doesn't matter, it wasn't a waste of time. You made progress and hit your goals in other ways. Tip 3 is to look back at old art because, unlike this example where I didn't like the new version, generally you will see that you have improved on so many levels and are slowly developing into the artist that you want to be. Even if you feel like everything you make is crap right now, there's going to have been evolution from how you used to draw, and oftentimes it's pretty major evolution even if you just look like 2 to 3 years back. It's also a good reminder that learning any skill, not just art, is a process. Back then, you might not have thought that you could achieve what you can draw now, and you're always progressing, whether that's building up your fundamentals or working towards developing the unique style you've always wanted to, and you will keep progressing forever as long as you draw, because you can only stagnate so long with art. It just develops even if you weren't intending it, as you find new inspirations, new techniques, new obsessions. You've done this before, you've been over these hurdles before, and you survived, and you didn't let it stop you from creating, so don't let it stop you now. Sometimes you just need to switch it up. Sometimes I really hate all of my character drawings, so I just randomly switch to landscapes, which is a new challenge. I'm not amazing at landscapes because I don't practice them often, but I'm not so upset if I don't think the landscape turned out great, because it's more like a fun side quest and experiment. I'm not so attached to it. It's also easier to progress faster at the start when you start a new skill. Then usually the skill curve gets steeper and starts to plateau a bit more as time goes on. You might have the basics down, but it's that process of slowly refining and refining. So it might just be nice to practice progressing in other areas of art to pick yourself back up. This could involve trying out a new medium for a bit, like digital, 3D, gouache, or alcohol markers, and here's a list of things that you could draw instead of what you currently draw. If you don't draw characters, you could draw characters, landscapes, buildings, fish, birds, fruits, dogs, flowers, plants, space, bones, I don't know. There's just so much out there. Take a scroll on Pinterest, find some inspiration, make a random wheel thing to help you pick some ideas and then combine them. Just have fun. Tip number 5, if none of that works, quit. Just give up art. Don't want to just hang in the towel? Okay, then take a break. There's more to life than art. If you're frustrated, you can just take some time off. I often take time off completely accidentally because my busy life gets in the way, but I follow a lot of amazing artists on my social media feeds, so I always come back eventually after they've inspired me to return. But there could be other things you could do in this time. You could take up a new craft, like crocheting for a bit, you could try photography, you could turn your OC's stories into a writing project, or just take time off to refocus, play that video game that's been sat in your Steam library, hop on the train, go check out a local city for a few days, start learning a language, join a new sport, read that book, watch that show, or just chill and rot and do nothing for a bit. We all need time to rot and do nothing productive, or we'll just get burned out. If you force yourself to do art every day and you're not enjoying it, you might burn out and start to hate it and just never return. So if you need to, just take a break if it isn't serving you right now. Either you'll come back to it when the time is right, feeling refreshed, or you might find another passion to fill the gap. And good luck with your art journey, guys. Like I said, you've been through those hurdles before. It's not the end of the world, and I'm sure you will get over it in time. And I hope this video helped in that process for you. So I'll see you next time, and bye guys!